answer it too, though.
Yeah.
Here's part B of it. Is like, now, he's hit every nail on the head. He met you the same way. He gave you 3 feet. He talked to you from a distance. Nice little voice, eye contact, said everything. You know, just boom, stated his case. You know, I think you're beautiful. I want to come over and talk to you. And I would love to just talk to you beyond today. And you're just, oh my God. But he just don't look like your Prince Charming. Give him his number. Give him your number. How do you approach letting him know that you're just a friend? Because, you know, that's brothers hate hearing that.
Simple as that. I'd be like, hey, listen. Okay, because like if this would have happened to me now, like I mean, like now recently.
I got something to say before she answers it.
Okay,
I got something to say.
okay, before I answer.
Okay, now he got your number. Okay, but like, keep that question you asked. But if he calls you and then he asks you if he can take you out on to eat or something, a casual date to eat.
Before you let him know.
Before, yeah, you let him know he's just, you know. Now answer that.
Okay, and that's actually very easy for me to answer because it's happened to me. And
She's like, why are you picking on me?
No, I know.
that's a karma, because I always pick on you. So.
Right.
Okay, it has happened to me, but I simply say, look, we can definitely go out and have something to eat, but as friends, and I'll make it clear. And what that means is, I'll meet you there. Like you know, you're not gonna come pick me up. We're not gonna get there together. I'll meet you there. You know, maybe I'll let you pay for me, but maybe for the most part, you know, I'll pay for my half. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll let you pay. You know, just as friends. You know, because sometimes friends do pay for each other. You know.
Right.
You know, but I'll make it clear to them because like I said, it's happened to me. So that's basically what I say. Like, okay, yeah, we can definitely go. You know, go have Starbucks, go have dinner, go out sometime, definitely. But as friends, and I'll make sure that they understand that. Because you know how sometimes you say that to somebody, but they'll still have that mentality. Like they'll have that mentality. Yeah, it's friends, it's totally friends. But then they go pick you up, and then it's just like a date, just like a date would be. But then they're just saying, yeah, I totally understand. It's friends, it's friends. But there they are, you know. So I would be straight because I'm really straight up. I tell them, you know, just sorry. Especially you know I'm not. Especially now if that were happening now because I'm not dating right now at all. You know, so it's like I don't. You know. Boys are the last thing I want to
Right.
You know, so
it
it's
ain't
just
personal.
like,
It's just a life choice.
Yes.
Right.
Don't you guys.
Yeah. No, that's right.
No.
Yeah, because that's happened to me. You know, like in my early years, though. In early years, that's happened. But that's me too. My thing is just straightforward. I think that's just the best way to be.
Yeah.
You know what
definitely.
I mean? And I just had to tell the young lady, well, you know what? We can hang out if you like, but. Like personally, I don't think that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? And then if again, if that just doesn't make sense to them, then it's like, well, we don't need to talk. Mm-hmm. You know, I would be that way. You know what I mean? Because I think the worst feeling is being led on. You know,
yeah.
that's
just being shut down.
Like you said though, you let them know. Like
oh man,
like she let the man know, and just like you said, you let the lady know. You know, we're just friends. Right. You know, you don't want to lead them on, but you tell them from the get-go we're just friends.
Right.
Now, you know, y'all go out, go to movies or something. Just say y'all hang out a few more times. You know what I'm saying? But y'all are still friends. You still told that person that you're just friends. But then they started to catch feelings because y'all just seem so cool when y'all hang out that y'all cool. And they started to catch feelings. And then they start assuming that it's more than friends now.
Because you hang out so much?
Yeah, because you might have hung out like 3 times or 4, 5 times.
Right. And then then that connection could be interpreted different, you know, because sometimes like you can connect with people that, and you can like, you know, I can hang out, you know, whether female, male, like a female, like I can hang out with her and like never like have relationship feelings for her. But the other person may have relationship feelings by the time, you know, by how much you hang out. And
Part 2 of this though, that the time when you decide to go hang out with your other friend, they get mad.
Right.
How do you approach that situation?
Right.
They get jealous, you know, how do you approach that? It's like, we're just friends.
Right.
I told you from the get-go, we're just friends.
Right.
How would you handle that approach?
I would have to tell them, like this was one of them college issues. You know, when I was in college, you know, I was one of those issues. Like, well, you know what? Well, when I hang out with these friends, these my people.
Yeah.
You know, I hang out with you and another group of friends, but you know, all my friends don't mix. But then, and that's really true though. I mean,
that's true.
You know, you have some friends from work, you have friends from school, friends from the neighborhood, and everybody don't hang out with each other. You know what I mean? But it is, you know, like you said, it's a touchy situation though, because it seems like the blow off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy though. It's like, but even though you told them we're only friends, but I'm gonna go hang out with them. That doesn't mean I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah,
That means I'm just hanging out with them.
I got plans.
Yeah.
Right. I got my other friends. I mean.
Right. That's why I think that upfront communication always, you know, just being upfront. That communication.
Yeah, because if you're not, then it leaves a gap, an opening. You know what I mean? And they just. It leaves opening for so much, you know. They'll just take it however if it's not clear to them, then they'll take it however they want.
Right.
To take it, you know what I mean? If you're not straight up and direct and say, hey, look, we're just friends. Like we're just friends. You know, if you don't like make that, you know, if you don't set that, yes, exactly. If you don't make that very clear,
they still don't get it. They act like they understand, but they just lie. Yeah, I understand. But they really don't. They hear it, but they don't want to accept the fact that you guys are just friends.
Right. They listen, but they don't.
So, like, I had that happen to me a few times.
They hear it, but they don't listen.
Yeah, they hear it, but they don't want to hear it.
Well, I think
they listen.
Well, I think because listening is formal, because listening is the ability to hear audible sound. That's listening. Okay. But to hear is to internalize. Like, I hear what you're saying, because I can listen to you talk, but you know, this is how I interpret it. I just interpret it as when I hear you, but listening is just, we ear hustle and we listen just to pick up information, but to really hone in on.
I always thought it was the other way around.
It could, it could be, because like it's to its own interpretation.
I remember in another show, another episode. I remember saying, because one of my pet peeves is when somebody hears what I'm saying, they're not listening. But you know what I mean? Like they hear you speaking, but they're not taking it in. You know what I mean? They hear you, but that's why I always thought
it's
not taking heed to what you're saying.
It could be that way.
It's just hearing. Sorry, that's just the whole other topic.
Yeah, we had to get a dictionary to look at hear and listen. That'd be right. But yeah, I know what you're saying, man. Because, but you know what? I was caught on the other side of that though, where I was a friend with someone, and caught feelings, as you would say. Man, it's like wow, because you really can't turn feelings off. You can't turn them off. Yeah, that's like if you love someone, if you've ever loved someone, there's never I don't love you no more. Because love is an internal. I think it's an internal, infinitive feeling.
Now we want to get into something else now. I'm about to back door and ask you a question. Now, how do you know the difference really between love and lust?
Yeah, but see, love is, for me, love is mental.
Yeah.
Love is emotional. You know what I mean? Lust is straight physical. Butt naked physical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
just straight up. No disrespect. I'm sorry, but
that's true.
When you say lust,
I know the difference between them, but say that's true. To say you was dealing with somebody like 2 years, and then y'all break up. Yeah. And then
But see, love don't kick in though. You know what I mean? Like for me, a lot of people say they love, but they don't really understand it. You know what I mean?
Love means?
Yeah, what love means. Because you don't. If you don't internalize, I think if you don't internalize a relationship, that's not love. Which means, I know you. I know what ticks. What makes you tick. What makes you angry. I know when to pull back.
Yeah.
I know when to hold up. I know when I need to step in. Things like that. But that's how love is created. Okay. But yeah, you can infatuation can seem like love. You be around somebody that just. Like, I'm gonna just use you because you're here. But like, for real. I mean, just looking at you, like, a brother would just be straight up like, you know what I'm saying? It's like every day they see you, like, tell the truth though. You know what I mean? You're a beautiful girl. Like,
thank you.
When people are beautiful like that, you get infatuated. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that can be mistaken, because you have all these feelings, but that's an infatuation because this person may be that image of that girl you want to marry or whatever. But love goes past all that because You know what I'm saying? Because when you see him in the morning, without the makeup and the hair to the side, and it's
And
like,
all in a knot.
right,
Like this.
right. You know what I'm saying? The bad breath and the baby, I still love you. That's love.
Yeah.
Or you can say that, but but if it's only when she's at her best, that can't be love. You know what I'm saying? So
So what happened with your situation is you caught feelings.
Yeah,
for
I had to.
that
I
girl.
had to back. I had to back up. I just
Yeah.
had to stop calling and I had to tell her. I told her though. I was like, dude, I don't think we can hang out, and I have to stop calling you because like I'm really digging you. You know, and there's no pressure, and I understand where we are, but this is when I was when I was in school. But it was just one of those issues. I had to back up because it was crazy. It was just, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you can't turn feelings off. Especially if a female fits. We all have a criteria, a type, a stereotype, of a female,
You like how you did that?
Yeah. But even for women, women do this, the square chin, the broad shoulders, for women, that's their thing, Right. But for men,
Signature for men and signature for women.
Right. Men, women, right, broad shoulders, right?
No, you mean
broad shoulders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's men.
Yeah.
And then
Men for women.
Women is Coke bottle.
Right. So but when somebody meets your criteria, right? The smile, the body type. She smells good all the time. She keeps her hair done. She's funny, witty. If that, what I'm saying, if that's what you want in a woman, if that friend happens to be that, you can't just say, okay, well, I'm gonna separate this from somebody I like and someone that I'm just hanging out with. No, it's because we all have that need, and if something feeds that need, it's on.
Yeah. So
I had to back up, because before I clown myself, man, I had to back up.
So y'all were just friends.
We were friends, and I knew it, but just hanging out, it just became like,
too good.
But you know how when you just like with fellas, like some fellas, you just hit it off, and y'all hang out, and it just seemed like y'all been brothers forever. You know what I mean? Just pull money out your pocket, like, yo, dog, I got it. It's no big deal. Sometimes it can be the same thing with a female. And approaching that situation it's really weird though, because it's, because in your mind you want to just like let it go and hope she catch on, but even though you were, like you said, you already stated we only friends, and so it's that battle to like, man, I don't want to put her in an awkward situation and then mess up the friendship.
Yeah.
But I just had to back up, man. It was wild. It was hard though. I ain't gonna even lie. It was hard. It was hard, man. It was hard.
So you think since you backed up, you think y'all might can be like y'all bumped into each other again, might can be friends again? Or?
For definitely now, yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm older now, man. College was a while back, but it took me to have to back up.
Yeah.
Because again, approaching that situation, I had to be real with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not fair for me to put her in that situation. You know what I'm saying? And then, it's always, we had that awkward moment, what I'm saying? Sometimes friends you just be talking to me like, and then I did so, and then she's doing that, and you're like, ooh, she's holding my hand.
Yeah.
But she's just being buddy, but you're like, she's holding my hand. You know what I'm saying? Right. She really likes me. It's just like, nah, I just had to back up, man. It was crazy. We couldn't even hang out, man. That's real talk, man.
That's funny.
That's real talk, though.
Sometimes you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Because they could just take something the wrong way.
Exactly.
Things like that just may take the wrong way.
And especially when there's especially for the fellas, when there's a female who's friendly and she's nice and sweet. You know what I mean? Because again, that's one of the main qualities you want. But for men to act nice and sweet, sometimes it's act. Because men aren't emotional. So if he's doing, most of the time when brothers are doing that, we trying to get next to you and
something a little fishy.
Right.
Like the other day, I was working on a show. It was a talk show. I was doing some audience work on a show and talk show. And I remember we had this bathroom break, and I remember we were waiting in line to go to the bathroom, and there was this older guy, and I mean older, like he was probably old enough to be like my grandpa or something, I don't know. Like he was pretty old. No, I'm not kidding. He was pretty old.
That's when you know you hot. When the senior citizens is trying to hit on you.
I mean,